Our strategy calls for us to confront, discredit, and defeat radical Islamic terrorism. In Afghanistan, our troops are no longer undermined by artificial timelines. Our campaign of maximum pressure on the North Korean regime has resulted in the toughest ever sanctions. We are calling for a great reawakening of America, a resurgence of confidence, and a rebirth of patriotism, prosperity, and pride.
Well, that was the president's America First, the national security strategy speech yesterday. Let's bring in White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders to react to this. Sarah, much different than the last administration when he toured the country, or toured the world, I should say, on that apology tour.
Absolutely. This is a very different policy, and one that I think has already had a lot of success in its first year. Look, the previous administration had a policy when it came to terrorists: be nice to them and they'll be nice to us. President Trump, as I'm sure you can see and as I'm sure you know, has a very different policy, and it's not be nice to them, it's let's defeat terrorism. And he's done exactly that, just what he promised that he would do on the campaign trail. You have to look no further than the success that we have had defeating ISIS on the battlefields in Iraq and Syria. This is a president who has unleashed the military power of the United States, and you've really seen a lot of that success in the first year, and it's a great and a very welcome change from the previous administration, and something that we're very excited and proud that this president has been able to do in only his first year in office.
Well, it does look, Sarah, as we switch to something else, it looks like today could be Tax Cut Tuesday. It looks like the House is going to vote on it first, and then it will go to the upper chamber. How big a deal is this for the White House to get this thing over the finish line?
It's a huge deal, but not just for the White House, but it's a huge deal for America. This is something that we've seen, just talking about it has been a major boost to our economy. Consumer confidence is at an all-time high. We're breaking stock market record after stock market record, and I think a lot of it has to do with the deregulation process that this president has put in place. And then the second part of that is the fact that we have been pushing this tax cut package, this tax reform package, and you're really seeing that reflected in our economy, the booming economy. Optimism is up. Americans are doing better than they have in decades, and that's due to this president's leadership. And today is a huge day, not just for the White House, not just for Congress, but most importantly for America, especially middle-class Americans who are going to see the biggest benefit out of this tax package.
So, Sarah Huckabee Sanders with us, obviously, as the press secretary, you're hearing this constantly. This will pass if everything goes as planned, but it will be with no Democratic votes. I'm watching Senator Joe Manchin, other people who say they're moderates, and say the Republican Party never reached out to them. They didn't want them involved with this. They weren't open to their input. What do you know about the process? Are they right or wrong?
Look, this is a president who said many times before he's willing to work with Democrats. He wants to work with Democrats. He's invited them to come to the White House on several occasions. Frankly, there were a few of them here last night. And this is a president who would have been happy to take their call and certainly happy to have their vote to help Americans have more money in their paychecks, more money in their pockets, more money for businesses to reinvest in this country. That's something that Democrats shouldn't need to be begged to be part of. They should have been begging and banging down the door of the building behind me to be part of this process and to be part of helping more Americans be more successful. This is a president who's leading on that. If they wanted to be part of that effort, we certainly would have welcomed them to be in the process.
Who was there last night?
I believe Senator Manchin was here, Senator Durbin, a handful of others. I believe there were about 35 different lawmakers that came for a little bit of a more relaxed time here at the White House.
Really?
The president invited them to come, and they watched a movie last night. And my guess is they probably talked a little bit on taxes as well.
So they went and watched Churchill together, right?
That's right, yeah. A nice, good thing to do as the end of the year closes out, and I think a good time to help bring people together before we start another aggressive year next year, and hopefully some of those members and Democrat members will be more willing to work with us on some of the things like welfare reform, infrastructure, health care, and immigration.
We know the president's approval ratings going up, Melania's approval ratings going up. There's a lot of optimism. We see all of our 401ks increasing, and you have talked about this. You tweeted, you said, what is the most underreported story of the president in year one? Because mainstream media is not reporting a lot of this. You said defeat of ISIS, booming Trump economy. So we wanted to ask you, what is winning Sarah's poll of the most underreported story of the year?
Sadly, I think it's both. I don't think either one of those things are getting enough attention. These are major success stories out of this president's first year. The president has been a tremendous leader when it comes to growing our economy, creating jobs, creating optimism in our country, and putting America first again. This is something this president talked about on the campaign trail, and he is delivering. I think the fact that he has been defeating and helping lead that effort to defeat ISIS is a major success story that's been completely missed and completely underreported by most of the mainstream media over the last year.
Hey, Sarah, real quickly, at midnight on Saturday morning, it sounds like the government may shut down because the Democrats won't sign that budget extension thing unless they wind up with some sort of a dreamer language or a DACA deal. How's the White House going to handle that?
Look, we're going to continue working with Democrats and Republicans. Our goal is to make sure we get this done without shutting the government down. We're still optimistic that that can happen, and we hope that Democrats won't hold our country hostage over some of their specific proposals. We like to call it the Schumer rule. It's something he talked about extensively since he was debating this the last time around, and hopefully he'll adhere to some of his own advice, not hold our budget, and certainly not hold our military and defense spending hostage over some pieces of legislation that we hope to work with them on at the first of the year.
Big week in Washington, big week at the White House. Sarah, thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you, Sarah. Merry Christmas.
Thank you so much for having me on, and Merry Christmas, guys.